Hello everyone, welcome and well met as we are counting down the days to Dawntrail. Early release is almost a week away, so we are only going to be suffering for a little bit longer in anticipation, as we are going to be heading on to a brand new storyline and saga. So today I'm just going to be talking about maybe what I think the future storyline of not only Dawntrail is going to go, but maybe on future expansions as well. This is just what I think. Of course, that's still a long way off, so please take what I say with a grain of salt. So let's begin. First, let's just talk about real quick what the future might be waiting for us for Dawntrail. Some people have been talking about how it is, in terms of function, it's going to be serving as how like a Realm Reborn was. It's going to be setting up the foundation of a brand new storyline. Now, while I do agree that that will serve as an important part of it, especially with us going to the new world, I feel like it's really going to be more about world building and introducing new characters and themes. I don't think that we really need to worry too much about Dawntrail being a new starting point, because it's not like we're starting off from zero like a Realm Reborn. A Realm Reborn was all about setting up the story, the characters, the history of this world, and overall the world that we were going to be venturing out into. Most players had never played 1.0 after all, and probably have no idea what this story was all about. So, A Realm Reborn may not have been the most popular expansion, especially after all this time. It serves its purpose in helping us to understand Eorzea and Aetheris as a whole. With Dawntrail, we don't really have to worry about going into such fleshed out details about the history of this world. We already know a fair amount of it, so the storytellers can really focus on the world building and storyline without having to worry about us not following along. We have known about the new world for a long time, and we've even had a few glimpses of it here and there throughout the Hydaelyn and Zodiac storyline, such as in the case with the Blue Mage quest, but we never had a solid foundation for us to learn and understand it as a whole. Yoshi P did state that Dawntrail is supposed to be a story about discovery, about adventure, and he also mentioned it's going to feel like two smaller stories kind of added together. But other than that, we have precious little to go off of. Up till now, we've had at least an idea of what we needed to do in an expansion to see our goals succeed. Like, we need to beat the Empire so that we can free Doma and Alamigo. We have to defeat Nidhogg so that we can put an end to the Dragon Song War. We need to defeat the Primals. We need to defeat Zodiac and the Ascians. But the story for Dawntrail is pretty much a question mark at this point. Now, we know that we are going off to the new world with Alphinaud, Alisaie, Kryl, and Urnvale to support Wouk-Lamet as she competes in a contest to win the throne of Taral. And thanks to the updates from the special site and especially the launch trailer, it does look like we have all 4 contestants lined up for us. Apart from Wouk-Lamet, we have her adopted brother Koana. We also have Zoral Ja, who appears to be the commander of the guard, and who may or may not be another of her adopted brothers. And finally, we have Bukul Jaja, who is pretty much confirmed to be the warmongering candidate. So I feel that the beginning of the story is going to feel a little bit like a summer vacation, at least when we first arrive in Taral and we start to explore the city. We start to learn a little bit more about its history, we are introduced to brand new characters, especially to the other candidates, and we're here just to aid the contest and learn a lot more about this land and its people before we get too carried away after all. We also know that the other Scions will be aiding other candidates. Urianger and Thancred at the very least seem to be confirmed with that, but it's pretty much up in the air for the others. Either way, we seem to be following some kind of clues to not only try to locate and fight against Valigarmanda, who I'm betting is the level 93 boss trial, the first trial boss of the game, but it looks like we're going to be looking for the legendary cities of gold. Whether or not there's going to be more than one, or if we're actually going to find a city made of literal gold, that's something that we don't know yet. Now, from some of the locations that we have seen clues and hints at, a lot of them do seem like places that I would expect for the new world, but then we get locations like Heritage Found and Solution 9, which honestly, they don't even look like they even belong here. In the large scale of things, we don't have a clue where the story is going to take us. which I think works in Dawntrail's favor here because there's just so much potential in what we don't know. With the Heidelin and Zodiark storyline done, there is no telling what the storytellers are going to be planning for us next. They can get as wild as they want to. They have all the time that they need to develop and flesh out everything needed for a new storyline. And if there's one thing that 14 does well, and that's putting in the effort of setting things up not just for a current story, but for future expansions as well. Of course, I do think that we will be heading off to Mericidia at some point in the future. We all know that's going to happen, we just don't know when it will be. But I'm thinking that the reason that they have Dawntrail set up the way that they do is because it's going to be playing an important part for future expansions. And I think the main point for that is going to be Solution 9. It's going to be a major changing point for us once we visit that location. Now, I already talked a bit about Solution 9 in another video, and I have my own predictions for that. If my theory is right in that Solution 9 is actually the remnants of another lost shard, namely the 12th shard, then the secret to crossing other shards could still be in our grasp. This could be what we need to be able to continue helping both the 1st and the 13th, for example. Now, during the 6.x series, they seem to not only have made it possible that we will be visiting other shards in the future, it seems almost guaranteed at this point, especially after everything that happened with Zero, Golbez, and the Void. They not only came out and said that they do plan on visiting and seeing Zero again at some point, but they also want to help them in their mission to try to save the 13th. Everything from Y'shtola giving Zero the little Nixie in order for us to be able to find them again, to the Loporrit saying that they want to develop new technology so that they can help the people of the 13th in the future. It's almost guaranteed at this point that we are going to go back. Now, apart from the 1st and the 13th, we have the 4th, the 8th, the 9th, and the 11th shards still standing. And with Y'shtola still searching for a way to cross the rift and perfect the concept of shard hopping, then I think that visiting them will happen somewhere down the line. I do think that it will become a major point in this new story, maybe not for Dawntrail specifically, but maybe in the next expansion or beyond that. I also think that the Void will be playing an important role in a later story on, just through all the work and setup that they did through the 6.x series. Whether or not we actually have an entire expansion of the Void is something that is doubtful. Possible, but doubtful. But again, with all the setup that they have for the Void, I think it's only a matter of time until we're able to return and maybe to continue helping them with the restoration of the 13th. Not only that, but I do think that we will have more reasons to go back to the 1st, especially since they did go through the trouble of reintroducing us to Gaia and to Reen, and possibly find ways of maybe helping to restore the empty there as well in its entirety. Realistically, I can see us going in for multiple expansions where it's just us traveling from shard to shard. They already talked about the idea of transferring ether from one world to another, and I think that that's going to be part of the major idea moving forward. I think by introducing us to Solution 9, it is going to help us set us on the path to seeing these other shards, something that even MXelk encouraged us to do as well. The only thing that we really need now, though, will be a reason to actually visit the other shards. Us visiting the 1st was kind of an anomaly. If it wasn't for G'raha Tia, we never would have been able to actually do that. I mean, we didn't even know that the 1st existed until Heavensward. And even then, it seemed doubtful that we would ever have a reason to actually go to the 1st. But that's just kind of like special circumstances in that one. What other reason would we actually have to visit the other shards? Especially since the 1st is a kind of a rare exception because there's only the one continent of Norvrond left. Now, unless something has happened to like the other shards that kind of wiped out everything, we're gonna have like entire new worlds to be able to visit and explore someday. Like we might have multiple expansions of like, say, the 4th shard where it's possibly like some kind of advanced technological wonderland, and we can go there and we can visit multiple continents and everything. Maybe we can go off to the 11th shard that just happens to be really like hardcore fantasy, or I don't know, the possibilities are endless here because we just don't know anything else about the other shards. Like, I can imagine, like, maybe if we go off to the 8th shard and it turns out like there was a massive flood that just drowned out most of the other continents, and we have maybe entire underwater cities or floating cities like in the sky or something. I think that would be really cool. And that's what I really love about this new storyline, because the possibilities here are almost endless. Like, there is no telling what could be waiting for us here in the future. As for Dawntrail itself, though, I do think that being able to explore like the entire new world, which really did surprise me, because I always assumed that because the new world is so big, it's literally separated into 2 separate continents, that we would have one expansion of exploring the southern half of the new world, and then the next expansion we can explore the northern half. But it really does look like this one expansion is going to allow us to travel all across the entire new world. So where would that take us after that? Well, there's definitely Mericidia, there's the Southern Isles, but yeah, there's really not too many other places in this world that we can really look forward to actually visiting apart from Mericidia and the Southern Isles. And even then, I can see something like the Southern Isles being maybe like part of side content, like Island Sanctuary or something. Which, now that I think about it, really is this part of the Southern Isles. And Yoshi P did say that there are going to be at least 3 other expansions after Dawntrail, so where exactly would that lead us? I mean, I can definitely see us being able to visit other shards in the future. I know I'm getting kind of off topic here talking about shard hopping and everything, but yeah, there's just so little that we actually know about Dawntrail right now, is that we can only really make speculated guesses here, especially with some of these really strange locations, because it's no longer fantasy. I don't think it was ever strictly fantasy. There was always a lot of science fiction kind of mixed in as well, but yeah, Solution 9 I think is really going to be a starting point for us into a much grander scheme, a much bigger adventure than we can ever really imagine. But again, the real issue here is that even if we are going to other shards, what is our purpose for doing so? I mean, I can imagine us going back to visit the first, because Y'shtola does want to go back to the first to be able to see Runar and the others from the Knights Blessed again, and of course I want to see Thancred reunite with Reen. Maybe we can bring Reen and Gaia over to the source and have them see the world that, you know, they talk so much about, they heard so much about. That would really be nice. And of course, I do want to see Zero and Golbez again. I would love to help with some restoration efforts for the 13th. But I can't help but feel that there is something that we are going to learn here in Dawntrail that is going to be setting us up for venturing off into the other shards. Whether that is going to be a brand new enemy that we're going to have to defeat, maybe like a new empire from another shard that somehow managed to figure out the concept of traveling between shards and is trying to conquer like the whole multiverse or something. It's hard to say at this point. I just feel that what is going to be set up for us here in Dawntrail is going to be setting us up for an entire new storyline, and I honestly can't wait for that. Wow, really did get off topic there, but I just really wanted to voice some of these feelings that I have, and I hope that you all enjoyed my little rant for the time being. Again, just take what I say with a grain of salt. But what do you all think? What do you think of my ideas, my theories? If you have your own theories, I'd love to hear about them. But that's all that I have left for Dawntrail for the time being. Early release is happening next week, so I hope you're all going to be ready for when that happens. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!